On September 8, 2009, a joint team of U.S. Army soldiers, Marines, and Afghan National Security Forces, shortly known as ANSF, carried out Operation Buri Booza II, also referred to as Dancing Goat II, in the Battle of Ganjgal, to meet with local leaders in the area. However, this ambush was intense and lasted for several hours. But what exactly happened at the Battle of Ganjgal? The Ganjgal Gar Valley starts at the Kunar River, running west to east into a steep mountain range, which marks the border between northeast Afghanistan and Pakistan. The valley is accessible only by small, unimproved roads that do not support large vehicles. The way into the valley is narrow, with little turnaround room, until it turns northward before the village into a large washout area, where a river sometimes flows during the rainy season. At that point, the road rises considerably as it approaches the village, surrounded by terraced fields and boulders that provide excellent observation of elements approaching from the west. It started when on September 3rd, an embedded training team, ETT, led Afghan Army and National Police Forces on a patrol near Damdara, a village close to Ganjgal. The villagers welcomed them, but as they left Damdara, they were fired upon by a small group of men on a ridge outside the village. After this brief attack, the elders of Ganjgal condemned the attackers and asked coalition forces to return to their village. They wanted a count of military-age males and helped rebuild their mosque. The original date of September 7th for this operation was changed at the last minute by the ETT to ensure their national police forces were fully ready. At approximately 5:30 a.m. local time, the column departed the Vehicle Objective Rally Point, also known as ODIRP, at the bottom of the valley, and began the movement up the long, gently sloping hill toward Ganjgal village. Because of the rough road and intelligence suggesting improvised explosive devices along the route, they approached on foot. The overall column consisted of 106 personnel, which included 60 Afghan National Army, also called ANA, soldiers, 14 ANA mentors, 30 Afghan Border Police, also known as ABP, members, and U.S. Army soldiers, Captain William Swenson and Sergeant First Class Kenneth Westbrook, who were advising the ABP. After departing the ORP, Marines and the ANSF members broke off to the north and south to take up various support positions, while a smaller contingency, approximately 65 troops, continued up the center of the treacherous wash leading to the village. Approaching the village at the forefront of the column were 4 members of an embedded training team, ETT, 3 Marines, and a Navy corpsman, accompanied by their ANA counterpart. Positioned immediately behind them was a command element known as a Tactical Action Center, TAC, led by Major Kevin Williams. This group included First Lieutenant Ademola D. Fabayo, a Marine ETT operations officer, First Sergeant Christopher Garza, the ETT First Sergeant, an ANA radio telephone operator, RTO, and Jonathan Landay, an embedded reporter with the Marine ETT. Swenson and Westbrook, along with their ABP counterparts, who were situated behind the TAC and ANA personnel. As the lead Marine ETT mentor cautiously crested the rugged washout and advanced to within 100 meters of Ganjgal village, the combined coalition force found itself suddenly under a barrage of hostile fire. From the elevated eastern ridge, insurgents unleashed a fusillade of small arms, medium machine gun bursts, and rocket-propelled grenades, raining down with alarming precision. The initial onslaught was quickly compounded by accurate volleys originating from within the village itself and the undulating hills that encircled it. The enemy, having stealthily infiltrated from the north and south via previously unnoticed trenches, launched a coordinated assault. Soon, the air was thick with the concussive blasts and crackling gunfire emanating from the homes and structures directly ahead, targeting the front ranks of the widely dispersed lead column. Swenson, keenly observing the enemy fighters as they surged from the elevated eastern terrain in a flanking maneuver, swiftly coordinated defensive actions. Alongside Fabayo, Williams, Garza, Landay, an ANA soldier, and an RTO, he strategically sought cover behind terraces positioned to the north and south. With precision and resolve, Swenson returned fire, skillfully orchestrating the response of his partnered ABP soldiers to establish a crucial base of cover fire. Their immediate goal was to shield the ANA soldiers at the forefront of the column, who found themselves pinned down by the insurgents' initial onslaught. From his tactical vantage point, Swenson issued rapid-fire directives, calling for immediate suppression on pre-designated targets and requesting smoke deployment to obscure the retreat of the lead element. Concurrently, Swenson, Westbrook, and the elements of the ABP executed a deft maneuver eastward, converging with the TAC. Their unified objective was clear: to reinforce the TAC's efforts in providing essential cover for the frontline units. 3 Marines and a Navy corpsman in the front of the column managed to make it to the outskirts of the village, where they became trapped in a courtyard by enemy fire. The friendly forces were now dispersed, with only intermittent voice and visual control. Due to the close proximity of insurgent fighters to the ANSF positions and the unavailability of smoke, multiple indirect fire missions were unsuccessful in deterring the enemy's advance and securing cover for the lead element's withdrawal. Emboldened by the ineffective fire support and the absence of close air support, the anti-Afghan forces began moving west to effectively flank the forces pinned down behind terraces and in trenches. Meanwhile, the Marines and Navy corpsmen ETTs pinned down in the courtyard began to take close fire and were forced to attempt a retrograde. As the exposed forces withdrew to a trench further west of the village, 1 Marine was wounded. As the intense firefight stretched towards its hour mark, nearing approximately 6:30 a.m., communication channels with the lead ETTs abruptly faltered, and efforts to re-establish contact proved futile. Friendly forces found themselves encircled on 3 fronts, subjected to a relentless barrage from multiple directions and varying elevations. The toll mounted swiftly, with casualties mounting among them. Major Williams endured a gunshot wound to his arm, while Sergeant Garza suffered ruptured eardrums from a rocket-propelled grenade blast. Amid escalating chaos, Swenson maintained a steadfast grip on command, tirelessly coordinating combat aviation and helicopter support despite the deteriorating situation. Yet, the reality of the overwhelming enemy presence forced a grim decision. A strategic withdrawal became inevitable. With Fabayo by his side, Swenson orchestrated cover fire, enabling the group to bound back across exposed terrain to safer ground. In the midst of their harrowing retreat, the chaotic battlefield claimed its toll. Swenson's partner and trusted NCOIC, Westbrook, was tragically separated from the group after sustaining severe injuries to his face and chest, leaving him exposed and vulnerable in an open expanse. Attempting to reach Westbrook amidst the chaos, Swenson courageously returned accurate fire, steadfastly repelling the advancing enemy, despite facing direct hostile fire that tragically claimed the lives of 2 nearby ANA soldiers and wounded another. With Garza, Fabayo, and a determined ANA soldier at his side, Swenson navigated a perilous 50-meter stretch of open terrain to reach Westbrook's side, wasting no time in administering crucial first aid upon arrival. As Swenson worked urgently to stabilize Westbrook, Fabayo's vigilant watch revealed a new threat: 4 insurgents stealthily maneuvering to within 30 meters on the direct left flank of their position. With the enemy voices escalating demands for surrender and shots ringing out, Fabayo swiftly engaged with precision fire, providing critical cover, while Swenson momentarily halted his medical efforts to react decisively. In a calculated move, Swenson unleashed a well-placed grenade that swiftly neutralized the immediate threat, compelling the enemy forces to retreat and regroup. Swenson's unyielding determination and fierce resistance proved pivotal, motivating the embattled troops around him. Inspired by his leadership under fire, the Allied forces rallied swiftly, mounting a decisive counteroffensive that effectively disrupted the enemy's momentum and pushed them beyond the immediate threat range posed by hand grenades. At 7:15 a.m., a pair of scout helicopters arrived in the valley. Swenson, still treating Westbrook, whose condition was quickly deteriorating, began to direct the aircraft's fires on the various enemy targets he had observed around the valley. This provided the column the slim opportunity they needed for successful retrograde back to the support by fire position A, or SBF-A, located just outside the effective fire range of the enemy's weapons. With Fabayo and Swenson carrying Westbrook and rocket-propelled grenades striking close by, the column bounded terraces across 200 meters of open ground toward SBF-A. The combined force arrived at SBF-A and began immediate medical evacuation, or medevac procedures. Soon after, an HH-60 helicopter arrived at the landing zone and departed with Westbrook to the Forward Support Hospital at Forward Operating Base Wright. Unfortunately, Westbrook would later die of his wounds, but not before departing the theater and spending the last few weeks of life with his family and loved ones, whereas Swenson played a role of selflessness by assisting in the evacuation of injured teammates. After loading Westbrook onto the Black Hawk, Swenson and Fabayo manned an ABP unarmored vehicle and re-entered the kill zone 2 times to evacuate wounded and bring them to the Casualty Collection Point, or CCP. Throughout, Swenson communicated via radio with the air support pilot, attempting to determine the location of the missing ETTs. At the same time that Swenson and Fabayo traversed the deadly route into the kill zone, Marine Staff Sergeant Juan Rodriguez Chavez and Marine CPL Dakota Meyer were retrieving wounded from the battlefield in a separate vehicle. By 8 a.m., efforts to establish contact with the missing ETTs remained futile, compounded by the fact that the unarmored truck transporting Fabayo and Swenson had sustained extensive damage, rendering it unfit for further use in the treacherous wash. Despite the presence of a combat search and rescue helicopter, CSR, on station, the aircraft struggled to pinpoint the precise whereabouts of the lost Marines, underscoring the urgent necessity for a ground-based rescue operation. Gathering at the Casualty Collection Point, CCP, Swenson, Fabayo, Rodriguez Chavez, and Meyer convened to strategize their next move. After a brief meeting, they returned to the Operational Rally Point, ORP, where Swenson wasted no time mobilizing all available combat assets for an immediate return to the perilous kill zone. Meanwhile, Meyer remained at the CCP to oversee the evacuation of injured comrades Williams and Garza, ensuring they received necessary medical attention. At the ORP, Swenson orchestrated the assembly of a small but resilient convoy. This included an up-armored Humvee, a robust armored ABP truck, and 2 agile ANA vehicles meticulously prepared for the demanding journey back into the valley. After regrouping with Meyer at the CCP, the team pressed forward, navigating cautiously into the heart of the still active kill zone, steadfast in their mission to locate and rescue the missing ETTs. The convoy traveled up the wash into the enemy kill zone, looking for the missing Marines, collecting wounded ANSF members, and evacuating the wounded back to SBFA. They began taking increasingly frequent and accurate harassment fire as soon as they departed SBFA. At one point, the ANA vehicles stopped to recover some casualties they encountered. Swenson, Fabayo, Rodriguez Chavez, and Meyer took the up-armored Humvee all the way to the suspected objective area, despite accurate rocket-propelled grenade and machine gun fire. While they succeeded in rescuing and recovering several ANSF wounded and dead, they were forced by the volume of fire to drive past several marked positions deeper into the ambush. After a dismounted search was unable to find the ETTs, the rescue party realized that previously isolated ANSF members have been moving from the cover of their terraces to the wash in a desperate attempt for extraction, and were taking effective small arms fire, which produced 3 new casualties. Swenson made the decision to return to SBFA to download casualties and assist the ANSF members who had just come down off the terraces and into the wash. They drove back to SBFA. Finally, a CSR helicopter positively identified the ETT's forward position. The CSR aircraft attempted to land within the kill zone and recover the fallen Marines and corpsmen, but was repelled by heavy enemy fire. Swenson, with Fabayo, Rodriguez Chavez, and Meyer, along with another small contingent of ANSF members, drove up through the washout one final time. They found their comrades in a deep trench that had been impossible to see from ground angles during previous trips. The Marines had been overrun while attempting to treat friendly casualties. Meyer and Swenson dismounted, and along with ANA soldiers, loaded the bodies of Marine Staff Sergeant Aaron Kennefick, Marine First Lieutenant Michael Johnson, Navy Corpsman Petty Officer 3rd Class James Layton, and Marine Gunnery Sergeant Edwin Johnson into the back of the flatbed ANA Humvee, while Rodriguez Chavez and Fabayo provided covering fire. After recovering the fallen, they drove back to the ORP, where Swenson verified accountability of all soldiers with the ANSF. It was worth noting that they successfully rescued and recovered several wounded and fallen ANSF members. However, the intensity of enemy fire forced them to make split-second decisions, compelling them to bypass several clearly marked enemy positions deeper into the ambush zone. This calculated risk was necessary to prioritize the safety of their team and the rescued personnel, highlighting their unwavering commitment to the mission despite overwhelming odds. On October 15, 2013, 4 years after the Battle of Ganjgal, Captain Swenson received the Medal of Honor, the highest honor the U.S. military awards for acts of bravery and heroism in duty. President Barack Obama personally bestowed the medal on Captain Swenson, commending not only Swenson, but also his fellow servicemen. President Obama said, Moments like this, Americans like Will, remind us what our country can be at its best. A nation of citizens who look out for one another, who meet our obligations to one another, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Will, you're an example to everyone in this city, to our whole country, of the professionalism and patriotism we should strive for, whether we wear the uniform or not. As noted by President Obama, Captain William Swenson exemplifies the courage, heroism, and professionalism displayed daily by members of the United States military in theaters of conflict worldwide. While Captain Swenson's bravery resonates deeply with soldiers who have risked their lives to rescue comrades, his heroism in the face of extreme peril serves as a profound lesson for everyone, regardless of military service. So, this is it, my folks. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Let us know what your thoughts are about this intense story in the comments. If you love war stories like these, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Till then, take care of yourself. See you in our next video.